First contact and initial tensions. The UESS Prometheus hung in space like a metal continent, its 20-kilometer length dwarfing everything humanity had built before. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck, watching stars streak by as the massive vessel decelerated from its final jump. After 15 years of travel, they had arrived at the Arcturus system, home to the first confirmed extraterrestrial civilization. Final approach in 5 minutes, Captain. Lieutenant Commander Jackson's voice came through the comms. All systems nominal. Elena nodded, though no one could see her. The weight of humanity's first official contact with alien life rested on her shoulders. The Prometheus carried 50,000 crew members and colonists, scientists, diplomats, military personnel, and civilians from every nation on Earth, making it humanity's most ambitious project. Captain to the bridge, the announcement pulled her from her thoughts. When Elena entered the bridge, the massive view screen showed their destination, a beautiful blue-green planet orbited by 3 moons. Scans confirmed significant technological activity on the surface and in orbit. Captain, Science Officer Dr. Immerse reported, approximately equivalent to our early 22nd century. They've detected us and are broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Open a channel using the first contact protocols, Elena ordered. The communications team had spent years analyzing intercepted transmissions, building translation algorithms. Now they would find out if their work had paid off. The view screen flickered, revealing the being with iridescent blue-gray skin, 4 eyes positioned in a diamond pattern, and a crest of what looked like crystalline filaments atop its head. "This is Archon Zealoth of the Valari Concord." The alien spoke, the words translated after a brief delay. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered sovereign Valari space. Identify yourself and state your purpose." Elena stepped forward. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth ship Prometheus. We come from Earth, a planet in the system you know as Sol 738. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations and cultural exchange between our civilizations." All 4 of the aliens' eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Your vessel is enormous, far larger than necessary for a diplomatic mission." Elena had anticipated this concern. The Prometheus is both a diplomatic vessel and a colony ship. The journey between our worlds takes many years at our current technology level, so we've brought representatives of our diverse cultures and scientific disciplines to ensure meaningful exchange. Colony ship. Alarm was evident in the Archon's voice. "You intend to establish a permanent presence in our system. Only with your permission and cooperation," Elena clarified quickly. "We have no intention of claiming territory without agreement." The alien's crest flattened slightly. "We will send a delegation to your vessel for preliminary discussions. Maintain your current orbit, and make no attempt to approach our planet. Zealoth out." The screen went dark. "That could have gone better," Executive Officer Commander David Chen said. "But it could have gone much worse," Elena replied. "Prepare the diplomatic reception area according to Protocol Alpha 3. Full transparency, no weapons, and maximum cultural sensitivity. And inform all department heads. I want detailed reports on everything we know about the Valari in 1 hour." The Valari delegation arrived 12 hours later in a sleek, crystalline shuttle that docked in the Prometheus's cavernous main hangar. Elena stood with Earth's diplomatic team, led by Ambassador Sofia Rodriguez, as the 6 Valari emerged from their craft. Archon Zealoth led the group, flanked by what appeared to be military officers and scientific advisors. They moved with a fluid grace despite the obvious tension in their postures. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus," Ambassador Rodriguez said, performing the greeting gesture they had observed in Valari transmissions, hands open, palms forward, then swept outward. Zealoth mimicked the human handshake that Rodriguez had demonstrated via earlier communications. "Your vessel is disquieting in its scale, Captain Reyes." "I understand your concern," Elena replied. "Perhaps a tour would help alleviate your worries." "We have nothing to hide." The tour began with the ship's agricultural sections, enormous biodomes that recreated Earth's various ecosystems and provided food for the crew and colonists. The Valari scientists were particularly fascinated by the diverse plant life. "You bring your entire biosphere with you," one of them commented, examining a flowering apple tree. "In a limited way, yes," Dr. Singh explained. "These systems also help maintain our air quality and provide psychological benefits to our crew on long journeys." As they continued through research facilities, living quarters, and cultural centers, Alina noticed the Valari becoming gradually less tense until they reached engineering. The main engineering bay showcased the heart of the Prometheus, its matter conversion drive. Chief Engineer Dr. Omar Hassan was explaining the basics of the technology when Zelith suddenly stepped back. "This energy signature," the Archon's voice was tight. "Your propulsion system operates on principles similar to the Void Breakers." "Void Breakers?" Ambassador Rodriguez asked, but the Valari were already conversing rapidly in their native language, their translator devices temporarily disabled. When Zelith reactivated their translator, their tone had completely changed. "Captain Rice, we must return to our ship and consult with the Concorde immediately. Your presence here may be more significant than we initially understood." "Have we done something wrong?" Elena asked, concerned by the abrupt shift. "Not wrong, but potentially dangerous." Zelith's crest was now fully erect. "We will return tomorrow with a larger delegation, including our Supreme Archon." After the Valari departed, Elena assembled her senior staff. "Something about our drive system spooked them," Dr. Hassan said. "But it's just a standard MC drive, the same technology we've used for 50 years. Research found references to void breakers in their transmissions," Dr. Singh reported. "It appears to be some kind of mythological or historical threat, possibly another alien species they encountered." Ambassador Rodriguez frowned. "If they're associating us with an enemy, that could jeopardize diplomatic relations before they even begin. Or," Elena said thoughtfully, "they might see us as potential allies against this threat. Let's prepare for either possibility." The Valari returned as promised, but not alone. Their shuttle was accompanied by 4 military vessels that took up positions around the Prometheus. Not threatening, but certainly watchful. The new delegation included Supreme Archon Kovath, the apparent leader of the Valari government, along with military commanders and scientists of higher rank. Captain Reyes, Supreme Archon Kovath, began without preamble after formal introductions. "We must know immediately. Have you encountered the Scourge in your explorations?" "The Scourge?" Elena exchanged glances with her team. "We've encountered no other intelligent species besides yourselves." Kovath studied her with all 4 eyes. "They are an expansionist empire from the Galactic core. 3 centuries ago, they nearly annihilated our civilization. We survived only by retreating to this region of space." Dr. Singh stepped forward cautiously. "May I ask what connection you see between the Scourge and our ship?" "Your matter conversion technology," one of the Valari scientists explained. "The Scourge weaponized similar principles, creating drives that could tear open space itself. We call them void breakers." Understanding dawned on Elena. "Our technology is purely for propulsion. We've never weaponized it." "Yet," Kovath said bluntly, "the potential exists." Ambassador Rodriguez intervened smoothly. "Perhaps this represents an opportunity. If our civilizations face a common potential threat, cooperation would benefit us both." Kovath's crest rippled, and what they had learned was a sign of deep thought. "Perhaps. But first, we must verify your claims. Our scientists wish to examine your technology more thoroughly, and we request permission to interview your crew, to understand humanity's intentions." Elena knew this was a critical moment. Complete transparency could reveal vulnerabilities, but refusing would confirm their suspicions. "We agree, with appropriate safeguards for both sides," she said firmly. "And in return, we request information about the Scourge. If they're a threat to you, they may eventually threaten Earth as well." As the diplomats worked out the details, Alarm klaxons suddenly blared throughout the ship. "Captain to the bridge, emergency." Commander Chen's voice came over the comms. "Excuse me," Elena said to the startled Valari delegation. "Ambassador Rodriguez will continue discussions. I must attend to this." When Elena reached the bridge, chaos greeted her. Multiple unknown vessels just emerged from FTL at the edge of the system. Commander Chen reported. "They're not responding to hails and are moving toward the planet at high speed." On the view screen, a dozen sleek, predatory ships approached, utterly unlike Valari design. They were angular, black, and bristling with what were unmistakably weapon systems. "The Scourge, Supreme Archon Kovath," said from behind Elena, having followed her to the bridge. "They found us again." As they watched, the lead Scourge vessel fired on a Valari orbital platform, destroying it instantly. "Captain Reyes." Kovath's voice was strained but formal. "On behalf of the Valari Concord, I request asylum and military assistance from humanity." Elena faced a decision that would shape interstellar relations for centuries. The Prometheus had defensive capabilities. The colonization mission had always anticipated potential dangers, but revealing them meant showing their hand completely. "Commander Chen, sound battle stations," she ordered, "and invite our Valari guests to the war room. It's time they learned what humanity is truly capable of." Alliance and triumph. The Prometheus's war room hummed with tension as holographic displays showed the Scourge fleet advancing through the Valari system. 8 ships now targeted orbital installations, while 4 headed directly for the planet's largest city. Supreme Archon Kovath and his military commanders stood rigid, watching their defenses crumble. "Your people have evacuation protocols?" Elena asked. "Yes, but inadequate for a full-scale attack." Commander Telvix, the Valari military leader, replied. "Our orbital defenses were designed to buy time for civilian shelters to be reached, not repel an invasion of this magnitude." Elena nodded to her tactical officer. "Show them." The central hologram shifted to display the Prometheus's military specifications. Hidden within the colony ship's massive frame were defensive systems no Earth vessel had ever deployed. Energy shields capable of covering a small moon, precision-guided kinetic weapons, and the MC drive's military application. Targeted spatial distortion. "By the ancestors," whispered Kovath, "your vessel is a fortress." "The Prometheus was built to ensure humanity's survival," Elena explained. "We hoped never to use these systems, but we're prepared to defend ourselves and our allies." Telvik studied the specifications. "These weapons could turn the tide, but the Scourge will target your vessel once you engage." "We're counting on it," Fleet Admiral Hassan Karim said, entering the war room. "Captain, I recommend Operation Aegis." Elena considered. Operation Aegis was a defensive strategy designed for protecting colony worlds, never tested in actual combat. "Explain the plan to our allies," she ordered. Admiral Karim nodded. "The Prometheus will position between the Scourge fleet and the planet. Our shields can absorb their initial assault while Valari civilians evacuate. Meanwhile, we'll deploy our tactical squadrons to engage their smaller vessels. Your ship alone against 12 Scourge warships." Telvix looked incredulous. "Not alone," Elena corrected. "We request that your remaining fleet vessels coordinate with our squadron commanders. Can your ships link communications with ours?" Kovath conferred briefly with his officers. "It can be arranged." "Then we have a plan. Admiral Karim, you have operational command of our defensive forces. Commander Telvix, please assign liaison officers to each of our squadron leaders." As they prepared to leave, Kovath approached Elena privately. "Captain Reyes, I must ask, why risk your people for ours? You could simply depart the system." Elena's expression was solemn. "Supreme Archon, humanity learned long ago that survival depends not just on strength, but on cooperation. If we abandoned you now, what would that say about us as a species?" The UESS Prometheus moved with surprising grace for its size, positioning itself in a high orbit that placed it directly in the Scourge fleet's path. Its massive hull gleamed in the light of Arcturus as compartments opened, revealing weapon systems and launching bays for smaller craft. On the bridge, Elena watched as 200 tactical fighters deployed, joining 40 Valari vessels in formation. Scourge fleet has altered course, Tactical Officer Lieutenant Commander Rajpatul reported. All vessels now targeting the Prometheus. As expected, Elena said. Shields at maximum. Weapons systems ready but hold fire until they're in optimal range. The lead Scourge vessel fired first. A lance of crimson energy that struck the Prometheus's shields, dissipating in a spectacular display of light. Shield integrity at 92%. Commander Chen reported. That was their main weapon. Elena leaned forward. Now we know their capabilities. Return fire. Tactical pattern Alpha. The Prometheus responded with devastating precision. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, tore through the lead Scourge vessel's propulsion systems, leaving it crippled. The space around the Prometheus erupted in combat as human and Valari fighters engaged the smaller Scourge vessels. The combined fleet moved with increasing coordination as the battle progressed, Valari precision complementing human aggression. Captain, Dr. Singh called from the science station. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the disabled Scourge vessel. They're building towards some kind of overload. They're going to self-destruct, Commander Chen realized, likely with enough force to damage us despite shields. Elena made a quick decision. Target the MC disruptors on that vessel. Full containment protocol. The Prometheus's most classified weapon system activated, a targeted spatial distortion field that enveloped the crippled Scourge ship. When the vessel detonated, the explosion collapsed in on itself, contained within the distortion field. Supreme Archon Koveth, who had insisted on remaining on the bridge, stared in astonishment. You can control spatial dimensions themselves. To a limited degree, Elena acknowledged. The technology is still experimental. The battle continued for hours, the Scourge forces gradually overwhelmed by the combined human-Valari defense. 3 Scourge vessels retreated, jumping to FTL, while the remainder were disabled or destroyed. When the last enemy ship fell silent, a cheer erupted across the bridge. Damage report, Elena ordered once the celebration subsided. Shields at 47% capacity. Minor hull breaches on decks 32 through 35. 16 fighters lost with 22 crew casualties. Commander Chen reported solemnly. And the Valari? 22 vessels destroyed. Significant damage to orbital infrastructure, but the planetary defense grid held once we absorbed the initial assault. Civilian casualties minimal. Elena nodded, feeling both relief and grief for those lost. Begin recovery operations. I want search and rescue teams deployed immediately. 3 days later, Elena stood with Supreme Archon Koveth in the Prometheus's botanical garden, a place of peace amid the aftermath of violence. The Concord's High Council has voted unanimously to establish formal alliance with Earth, Koveth said, watching a butterfly land on a flowering plant. You save not just lives, but potentially our entire civilization. The alliance benefits us both, Elena replied. The Scourge will return, possibly to both our worlds. Koveth's crest shimmered in what Elena had learned was agreement. Our scientists are already working with yours to integrate our technologies. Together, we may finally end the Scourge threat permanently. And beyond that, Elena asked, once the danger passes, exploration, Koveth said simply. Your people have an insatiable curiosity about the universe. Mine have focused on survival for too long. Perhaps together, we can do both. Later that evening, Elena recorded her official log in her quarters, looking out at the now peaceful orbit around the Valari homeworld. Captain's log, UES Prometheus, day 5497 of mission. Humanity has made first contact with the Valari Concord under circumstances none could have predicted. Through crisis, we have forged the beginnings of what may become a lasting interstellar alliance. The Prometheus was built to carry humanity's hopes for peaceful expansion into the stars. Instead, we have found ourselves as unexpected warriors and welcomed allies. The path ahead remains uncertain, with the scourge threat looming and much to learn about our new friends. Yet I find myself optimistic. Today proved that when faced with a common threat, different species can set aside fear and suspicion to work together. The Prometheus's true purpose has been revealed, not merely to carry humans to the stars, but to bring humanity itself, with all its capacity for cooperation, innovation, and courage. Tomorrow, we begin joint operations with the Valari fleet to secure the system and prepare for the possibility of a Scourge counterattack. But tonight, across this vast ship, humans and Valari share meals, exchange stories, and begin building the personal connections that will ultimately determine the success of our alliance. In the face of an indifferent universe, we have found not just another intelligent species, but kindred spirits. And that perhaps is the greatest discovery of all. As the stars wheeled slowly outside her viewport, Elena Reyes allowed herself a moment of pride. The Prometheus had lived up to its namesake, bringing not fire, but hope to a new world. End of transmission. UES Prometheus out.